here to talk about what can we do better, what are we doing, where can we get it better, so that we all can be benefits to the goodness of this industry, and so that we'll move on better. So I started by way of introduction, saying that whatever we're experiencing in the printing industry now is actually a reflection of everything going on in the country. And it's the beginning of the year. We would have been invited to meetings where budgets are discussed, where way forward for the economy of Nigeria is discussed for the year. And it's not been optimistic. The economics, the financial people, the regulators, all they're talking about is that, yes, where we are is kind of better from where we were maybe last year, but we're still far away. So, thinking about the general overview, I said that we cannot isolate the printing industry from what is happening in Nigeria. But then, we shouldn't sit down and fold our hands. We should say, when other people are looking for solutions, what are the likely solutions we can also prefer, so that we're not left behind when other people are moving forward. And this took me to think about, okay, how did we get here? And to know how we got here, we needed to know the past, the present, and where we want to be in the nearest or later future. And so I moved on to the history of printing in Nigeria. And it would interest us. I want to believe that what I will be saying may not be new to many of us here. It's just to refresh our memory so that we can all prefer the solution together, hopefully at this meeting, or we take the narrative and, we keep thinking about it and keep preferring solution. I started by saying that printing actually started in 1846. That is about 174 years ago, and that's well before what we now know as Nigeria came to be. So printing didn't start with Nigeria, it preceded Nigeria. And of course, a missionary brought printing to Nigeria, Calabar, to the then Calabar, and it was to print school books, missionary books, tracts, to promulgate the gospel at that time. And shortly thereafter, in 1859, Townsend of the Church of Missionary Society established another press in Abeokuta. And the interesting part for me is that he actually also started printing school at that time, where he trained people in the printing vocation, and of course, he went further, expanding his own business. He started Iwe Iroyin. That is the first Nigerian newspaper, and of course, they published many books thereafter. But unfortunately, he folded in 1867 because of issues with the Abeokuta people then. He couldn't continue. Then, of course, in 1862, Robert Campbell established a press. 1875, we have another press established. In 1914, the year that Nigeria got amalgamated, that what we have at Nigeria came to be, we had the first government printing house. It was established in Broad Street. And they had offices in Enugu, Lagos, the north at that time. And because this industry was important to them at that stage, they actually promulgated the Printing Press Regulation Ordinance. This ordinance was meant to protect the printing business and to guide on every process of the business at that time. In 1910, we have other presses established by Tikator. In 1913, we have the CMS Press in Lagos. 1920, we have another one, 23. 1925, we have Nigerian Printing and Publishing, the Nigerian Daily Times. We know that the the Nigerian Daily Times used to be a force to reckon with in those days. I know the building at Kakawa, I don't know what has become of the building now, but it used to be a very big deal at that time, you know, and the business was booming. And for the Nigerian Daily Times, they actually, in those days, brought out very modern equipment. They really established, they made the printing business a big deal. They made a turnaround. It was like a revolution at that time, you know. And the equipment now, of course, we know they are obsolete, but in those days, it shows that they were serious about the business, and they invested in it. Of course, in 1970, the letterpress, you know, that was the big deal then, was abandoned for lithography and offset machines. I know that some of us here met the lithography machine. Offset machine is still, you know, in existence now. We keep updating. You know, I'm sure that Ediba, Komori, and some other machine companies, they keep bringing out every 4 years at least new technologies and other supporting companies like that. I don't want to advertise for anybody here. You know, they keep bringing supporting machines like the pre-press machine, the digital, and all of that. And so that's some development. Of course, in the late 1960s and 1970s, printing companies that we still know today, like the Academic Press, they were established, you know, and I'm sure Academic Press, they had their 50 years anniversary some time ago and things like that. So where are we now? We're in the DI era, where, you know, where printing is easier and smoother, and you have less wastage, and, you know, it is meant to be for more profit, but that's debatable, you know, that are you really making profit? But where we are now is that we're in the latest technology, the DI, and I'm sure maybe in another few years we'll be having developed the technology than what we have here. Now, what are those factors that influence the development of the printing industry? There must have been a need that needed to be filled, and that's why printing, you know, came into existence. And for Nigeria, it included the proliferation of missionary activities in Nigeria. You know, they needed to print Bibles, they needed to print tracts, and I can imagine then there was no plane. The sea transportation then would take forever. So it was easier for them to bring the equipment down so that it's easier for them to be able to produce the materials they needed at that time. Then, like we said in the history, in Abeokuta, there was a newspaper company, Iwe Iroyin. So news was spread, dissemination of information, communication, and it brought about development in the printing industry. Because we know that every every media company in Nigeria, they need printers. Some of them have their home printing facilities. Yes, we have different technologies. We have what suits the newspaper more than the commercial printing, but the fact remains that they are all printing. Then, of course, the development, the evolvement over the years is as a result of quest for high quality printing. You know, when the the letterpress was no longer, the quality was no longer satisfactory, they brought about the lithography, the offset printing, and now we have the DI printing. Apart from volume, apart from need, we also, quality was a need then that brought about development of the printing industry. And of course, the colonial government. I kept thinking that, so if we did not have, if the colonial government did not come there, you know, to colonize Nigeria, Does that mean there would not be anything like printing in Nigeria? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it wouldn't have been that early. Maybe it should have been post 1914. But at least it was as a result of the colonialism that we have printing industry. Also, in a capitalist economy, businessmen want to invest in what they think is a thriving business, in what they think will be profitable or will meet needs. And so the participation of business people, investors, organizations, multinationals, corporations, and all that in printing, also made the development possible. Some of us here are not the owners of our company. We are managing the company for other people. These people may be business people that think this is a lucrative business or this is a business they want to invest into, and they invested. Some of them are just investing in printing, some of them are investing in other industries. So this also brought about the development of printing, because we know that printing is highly capital intensive, and so investors are needed, maybe one, maybe two, to be able to buy some of these machines sometimes. We will still get there when we are profiling solution. Then, of course, technology advancements, among others, also led to the development of printing. It's interesting. We all are, here we have expertise in printing, and it could be so absorbing. There is always something better to have. There's always something better to do. Color resolutions, and all of that, So all these interests, brought about development in printing. Now, enough of the story. I'm sure I'm not telling you what you did not know, but we needed to take ourselves back there. Where are we now? And I said, considering the long history of printing business in Nigeria, it should logically be expected that the business should be competing favorably in international markets and be a key revenue generation for government at all levels. Unfortunately, this has not been so. And what are the reasons? We have many reasons. Please, feel free when I finish reading out my own to suggest. We are in a meeting, so the more knowledge we share, the better. I have a lack of necessary infrastructure. Power and transportation are at the forefront. We have roads, we have, our ports, troubles associated with ports, bringing in goods, the roads, the power. The power is very close to us. A lot of us run our machines with generators, and the cost associated with that. So these and many others that you know better than I. Then we have huge reliance on importation and foreign exchange, resulting in lack of control over production and materials. If whatever is happening in UK now, Brexit issue, would affect foreign exchange, it translates to the cost of bringing in paper. It translates to cost of buying paper and ink and other chemicals. It translates to the quotation you give to your clients. So it is so close to us that this bureaucracy, with importation and all of that, affects us directly. You can't really plan. Sometimes when you have a 1 year, 2 years contract with your clients, you have a clause subject to foreign exchange. Am I correct? So that means we don't have much control over this business. Then, of course, we have unfavorable foreign competition. We're competing with India, with China, with Malaysia, with European countries, with, everybody. And the competition is not favorable. They have light, they have the technology, they have the government support that we don't have. And yet we're expected to compete in a global market with them. Because whether we like it or not, we are not providing your business to Nigeria alone. It's a global business. They have free entry into your market. You are supposed to have free entry into their market. But can we compete favorably? No. Then we have high cost of machines, parts, and maintenance. It's printing machines, you know, even the lowest of them, they come in multi-million naira. And except if you have direct contracts, maybe from some big government or some big corporations, you may not be able to afford modern technologies. We'll still get there. Then, of course, lack of technical personnel to manage and maintain machines. Some people, they spoil your machines instead of, you tell them to solve one problem, they come back with 12 problems, you know. So these are attendant. So even when you want to buy machines, you are thinking of maintenance before you think of the money. You know, these are problems. This is where we are in the printing industry today. Then, of course, poor marketing and sales. Big Sis and myself were just talking a few minutes ago. Sorry, I want to do amebo on you. Yeah. You know, and she was saying that it's inadequate marketing and sales pitches. You know, we've all introduced ourselves, and I guess maybe she wasn't so impressed with some pitches. And she said we needed to do training, which is true. Ongoing trainings, what you know yesterday is obsolete today. So we need ongoing training. We need marketers and salespeople, you know, that would be on top of their game and bring this business in and leave the rest of the production people to prove the worth of the company. Then, lack of investment, both local and foreign direct investment. We know that it is not easy now to even get loans from the bank. And for investors, all they are thinking about is the profit and how their money would turn over positively. But when you are in an industry where you are not sure of the returns, it's so difficult to get investors to invest in this industry. But hopefully we'll provide solution to that before we leave this meeting. Then, of course, insufficient printing education. Remember, in Advocacy, we had a printing school. What happened to them? I know we have, in the colleges of education, we have the printing departments. But do they have the equipment to teach these people? How many of your companies have they come to say, oh, I'm from Yabatek, I want to do internship on printing in your company? So sometimes I just wonder, what are we teaching? What are we learning? You know, a lot of us here learned on the job. A lot of us went abroad. We went to Germany, we went to UK, we went to South Africa there to learn whatever we're doing on printing or printing management. And you know what they do? They give us, they feed us with their laws. They feed us with their procedures. So we are detached from reality. You know, I was opportune to be in a training in South Africa. And they were talking, and I said, no, this is not obtainable in Nigeria. You're telling us what is obtainable in South Africa. But when we come here, it can't work because we cannot use the law of South Africa to practice in Nigeria. When we have our laws, we even have very robust laws. So that is some of the problems we're having today in the printing industry. Then, of course, regulatory and compliance bureaucracy. Ease of doing business, you have double taxation. You pay to this, you pay to this. Everybody is taxing you. Factories, people from the federal, they come. From the local, they come. From the state, they, you know, all of this, you know, sometimes you just wake up in the morning, you just want to go back to bed. Because all these troubles, can we survive? You know, that's where, from my own perspective, from where I sit, these are the problems that we are facing. Maybe there are more that I didn't remember to put, or please feel free to jot them down and let's talk about them at the end of this presentation. I researched into 3 countries model: the Indian model, the Malaysian model, and the Chinese model. Now, for the Indian model, their economy was liberalized so that there is what you call free economy, freedom to participate, in trade, in the economy, and of course privatization was initiated, and this has helped to integrate the Indian economy, and so the Indian economy is in tune with the global economy. They are able to trade, to do business with anybody without any impediments, from their government. And of course, they operate with modern state-of-the-art technology. I want to believe that some of us, what we call new machines in our companies are 1970-something, when Indian is bringing in 2020 January model of machines already. So there is no way you can churn out the same quality. So your quality is relative. What you call quality is different from a modern technology quality. So, and your quality might not be your client's state of quality, especially if they've tried such, technologies and they are happy with what they got from them. Okay, the Malaysia model, this is more interesting because you know that the Nigerian government orders print from Malaysia. I believe everybody knows that, right? And why is this so? The Malaysia printing and graphic arts industry, they've registered remarkable growth, especially in the last decade. You see, let me just quickly say, India, Malaysia, okay, China has been successful in printing for a long time, but India and Malaysia, it took positive steps by their governments, to make things work. It wasn't like this. Their development is pretty or relatively of not so long, maybe like 2 decades, 3 decades. It's not been forever like that. In Malaysia, maybe in the last 20 years they've achieved, or coming from the last 20 years they've achieved, or less, they've achieved what they're achieving now. And of course, the government of Malaysia, in its effort to promote new investment and encourage expansion and modernization, they granted attractive incentives and to the government, to the industry. They give tax reliefs to them. There are some machines that are not taxable to encourage tax holiday, just to encourage the industry to move forward. And the printing industry in Malaysia is one of the 10 industries that is booming the Malaysia economy, And of course, like I said before, we get print from countries like Nigeria. So that means the government is actively promoting the export of printing services. We are still struggling, begging people not to take their prints abroad. But can you think about merging with other people so that you can have better equipment? Can you think about how you can bring bigger investors? When you have the machines, when you have what it takes. I can talk about my company. We strive to be ahead of technology. We strive to be modern. But what it translates to is that we are competing, with everybody. When we bid for jobs, everybody bids for job. At that rate, everybody promises quality. It is when you get the outcome that that maybe one quality is better than the other. But can we come together? We are all together in this room because we have the same problem. Can we all come together to pool resources to get better equipment? Can we have some kind of like a hub of printing equipment, where everybody has a stake in, and where we all have outputs, that will benefit everybody. It's a suggestion. We don't know how practical it could be, but can we consider it and see whether it's the way forward? Can we begin to start planting paper trees, you know, so that in 10, 20 years you would have said that, see what my investment or see what my involvement has developed. That is it in terms of paper. But today, when we have paper books coming in from India at zero duty, you know, which is right because we signed the Florence Treaty, I think in 1950, where it says that books, educational and things like that will come in free, you know, to different countries at zero duty. So the government is not wicked to have allowed those in. If we have the opportunity also to export, it will go at duty free. But can they create favorable, you know, competition by saying, okay, all those things that they bring in as well, because it is not that you have them in your country and you are not using them, you decide to import them. Can paper that we're bringing in now be little or zero duty? Can chemicals be, they said some chemicals have higher duty rates because of the danger status. Can they come in lower? You know, they should think more about growing the business so that when we are planning on the long-term solution, we are able to bring, see, publishers may not be favorably disposed to printing their books in Nigeria because they are businessmen, you know, because the amount they bring it in is much lesser than what we'll give them. Even the paper price itself, by the time you translate it to the books, it's higher. You have ink, you have a lot of things, you know. So can the government advocacy? This is where Princess comes in with LCCI, you know. Can we beg them, talk to them, educate them about the printing business? Because I'm sure if they really know what the production process is about, they would be more,
beg who?
You know,
beg who? Sorry to interrupt.
I mean, government, okay, maybe I'm using the word beg, you know, the government, you know, educate them, tell them that this and this and these are the processes of printing. And because of this duty, this process, light and all of that, we are not able to compete favorably with our international counterparts. So can you help us review your duties so that the burden on us will be less? You know, so government has its own to do, we have our own to do. Then, now looking inwards, what about our own orientation? Because for people, the topic says Nigeria first. So we should think about Nigeria first. But do we have what it takes? Are we transparent enough? Are we sincere, you know, with the business? What about our quality drive? I know that you export our print to Nigeria, to other countries. Let's start praying. And of course, they also support their printing entrepreneurs by helping them to acquire latest printing technology and state-of-the-art machineries. And the environment, the business environment is friendly, you know, not hostile. It's easy for them to get loans, to get things, and of course their infrastructures are fantastic. So they don't have problem with churning out good products that people can buy into. And we've talked about incentives. Then their paper industry is it's so developed that it's one of the best around, you know, and they have about 90% self-sufficient. They can use and export, you know, it's eating and take away or something like that is what they have now in Malaysia. Yes, we have the China model as well, and the printing sector in China has been on for a very long time, and it keeps improving. and when you want to compare, you compare prints from China, from Malaysia, from India, sometimes Europe, United Kingdom, and other places. That's, in my own view, those are the models we hope Nigeria will get to. You can give other examples if you have. But I look forward to a nearest future where we shall operate like Malaysia, where paper would be so, easy to get and will be internally, produced, so that we can do away, at least we can, you see, we have to, the fact is that there would always be importation of printing materials, because a lot of them, as at now, are not available. Where are our chemists? Where are the physicists, or what, the people that studied physics, the chemists? Can they begin to now research and begin to work on bringing out chemicals that we can use? Can we have research areas, to develop printing consumables? Can we start to plant trees, so that, by the way, trees for doing for printing papers, they have between 10 and 20 years growth and development and season. And apart from that, you need the equipment to turn them to papers, you need the factories and all that. So that is a long-term solution we need to look at. But what is the immediate, relief we can get? Because in 10, 20 years, some people would have retired, some people would have moved on to other businesses, but we need to start today. And how can we get there? I'll still read this, but how can we get there? You see, government cannot do everything for us. We need the enabling environment to operate as business. It is the business of government to provide that enabling environment for us. And we need advocacy to demand those from us. But the government has so many troubles. Can we start thinking of how to come together and start planting our trees? This advocacy, this shout, are we prepared? It's a question for us in this room, and take out to other people. Then, develop realistic and easy short-term, medium-term, and long-term solution strategies to solve existing and emerging problems. The paper plantation is an example, so many other ones. And the laboratory development, chemists, let them begin to develop. I'm not sure, even the company that mixes ink, would only mix on specification. We import even inks. So why do we have universities churning out chemists, and they're saying they're not getting jobs? Can we get them to do something for us? Then develop business models that is well suitable for Nigerian condition. You see, we like giving examples. I've given Chinese, Malaysia, and India examples. Are we in the same position? If we were where they were then we can begin to work. But you cannot jump to be Malaysia today. It took them time. So let us be realistic in our examples and in our projections. Then, of course, sincerity and prudence in pursuing common interest. Congratulations for doing this. This, common interest we're pursuing here. Then, the bitter truth is that printing companies need to do proper house cleaning and either get better or get left behind. Technology is moving fast. We need to move at the pace of technology. Then, of course, we've talked about merging. Can we merge, and collaborate so that we can have better equipment to compete favorably? Then, in conclusion, I said that we need to challenge our way of thinking, decision-making, sentiments, and facing challenges for future and continuous growth. Afkar, that I work for, we came up with a campaign that we call, and that's part of what brought about the topic Nigeria First. My MD is British. He saw the passion with which Nigerians, followed the football and supported football. And at that stage, it didn't matter your tribe, it didn't matter where you come from, it didn't matter your religion, it didn't matter your sentiment. Everybody just faced, it was Nigeria first, and every other person second. And and we put heads together and we came up with that campaign. We shared the football fixtures and we distributed them round. And another thing, Trump, you can say anything about him, but you cannot take away from him the fact that he's taking America first. So just like in football, when we shelve all other interests and put Nigerian interests first, can the government, can the practitioners in this industry, can the friends of this industry, put Nigeria first when it comes to printing too? When you need to print your invitation, can you look for a local printer, for heaven's sake? We're not that bad. You don't have to take everything abroad. And when they now disappoint you and your daughter's wedding is 2 days' time, you are now rushing and saying, please, I want an invitation, I want brochure. Why didn't you? So we were good for the rush period. If we're good for rush period and for delivery and all of that, can we all think of Nigerian first? This is the campaign I want us to take out of this place and say, Nigeria first. In printing, in manufacturing, like I said, it's a general problem, but we are narrowing to printing. So I say, let us look inward, let us think inward, let us make Nigerian first so that the printing industry in the nearest future, we can be proud to say, I am a part of it, of this industry. Thank you.